Tonight, the Scottish Government accused UK ministers of being in complete disarray after Rachel Reeves abandons plans for income tax rises for England and Wales. Also tonight, it's vital a permanent operator is found. People living in Caithness call for the Lifeline Airlink between Wick and Aberdeen to be secured after Eastern Airways went into administration. A pioneering test to determine whether stroke patients will be resistant to the most common medication will be rolled out across Grampian and the Western Isles.
And I'll have all the atmosphere from here in Athens as the travelling Tartan Army get ready to cheer on Scotland for tomorrow night's vital World Cup qualifier.
Good evening, I'm Norman MacLeod and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. The Scottish Government has accused UK ministers of being in complete disarray after the Chancellor ruled out income tax rises for England and Wales. Rachel Reeves had signalled she would break a manifesto promise and increase tax in her budget. However, she's abandoned the plan after the economic outlook appeared better than expected. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
For weeks, the Treasury has painted a gloomy forecast ahead of this autumn budget. All the signals pointed to an income tax rise in England and Wales. But now the Chancellor appears to have backtracked, scrapping plans to break a key manifesto commitment.
That's why I want to see the end of the two-child benefit cap.
Anna Sarwar says he's put his wish list for the budget on child poverty, lower energy bills and no austerity directly to Rachel Reeves. But all this comes in a bruising week for the UK government, following a briefing battle against cabinet members.
All this will she, won't she, the briefings from Downing Street, is that the sign of a strong and solid government?
Look, the briefings, the speculation is deeply unhelpful. I don't think it helps the purpose of the government. I certainly don't think it helps in the run-up to what is a really important and significant budget.
It's more than unhelpful though, isn't it? It's chaotic.
Look, it's deeply unhelpful.
It's been a chaotic week for your party, which is surely going to damage your chances next May.
Well, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer are not standing to be First Minister. I and John Swinney are.
It has an effect on you though.
I and John Swinney are.
You can't separate the two parties when it comes to voters' impressions.
No, I'm being really open about what the choice is in 6 months' time. It doesn't change the UK government, it doesn't decide who the Prime Minister is, but it can change the Scottish Government and it does decide who the First Minister is.
The turmoil has provided ample ammunition for the opposition and Scottish Government.
I've never seen a government do this in the run-up to a budget. I have never seen this level of chaos, this level of irresponsibility.
Well, what we've seen today from the UK government is a government in complete disarray. The income tax policies now seem to be being decided not on what's right for the UK economy or for people across the UK, but what's the right thing to do to save Keir Starmer's job. Now, that's no way to set a budget and it's no way to run a government.
The Chancellor still faces tough choices when she delivers the budget. These are decisions that could not only define her time in office, but also shape the Holyrood election campaign next year. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
People living in Caithness say it's vital a permanent operator is found for Lifeline flights between Wick and Aberdeen after Eastern Airways went into administration. Highland Council is seeking an operator to run the service until the spring. Those who rely on the Airlink say a full-time solution must be secured as soon as possible. Nicola McCally has more.
Jeff Simpson is receiving ongoing treatment for bowel cancer at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. He needs to travel there from Caithness and says the recent withdrawal of Wick to Aberdeen flights is devastating.
At this time of year, it was January when my appointment was due. At this time of year, you can't guarantee the road conditions, so that's just another factor. Because the daylight hours are shorter now, trying to get down and back in the day is nigh on impossible.
The route is a public service obligation funded by Transport Scotland. The contract was awarded in 2022, but last week operator Eastern Airways entered administration. The area's MP, Jamie Stone, says it's vital a new long-term solution is found.
It's a massive issue. I mean, we worked so hard to get these flights in place, and it was a great success story. If you're serious about economic regeneration, about getting high-quality employment in the Far North, then flights in and out of Wick are crucial.
Ian Gregory represents the Caithness Health Action Team. He says it's not just the route to Aberdeen that needs to be looked at.
What we need is confirmation that a permanent service will take place, will be put in place, and while we're at it, we also need to be looking at Edinburgh, Glasgow. The suggestion has been made to purchase an aeroplane. My answer to that is, well, why not? Why not just do it? Do it, lease it out, get an air service up and running. We've got to think outside the box.
Highland Council seeking an interim operator and says an emergency tender has gone live. It expects to announce a successful bidder for an initial 4-month contract on Thursday. Next week we'll find out if a temporary operator will be appointed until the spring. But people living and working here say a permanent solution must be found, and soon, for the future of the region. Nicola McCally, STV News.
More than 11,000 people suffer a stroke in Scotland every year, including 34 people a day. Around a quarter are resistant to the most common medication, increasing their risk to further strokes. But now, a pioneering test developed in Tayside is identifying those at risk and saving lives. It's being rolled out in Grampian and the Western Isles before being launched across Scotland. Here's Lynn Rankin.
Simple blood samples from stroke patients primed for high-tech testing. They're scanned for genetic variants that could mean patients are resistant to clopidogrel, the most commonly prescribed medication for a stroke.
This is really a form of personalised medicine where we're using this test to identify those patients that are not going to respond to clopidogrel. We're going to put them on a more effective medication, and ultimately we're going to reduce the risk of strokes and ultimately save lives.
The groundbreaking genetic testing programme was pioneered in Tayside, where 7,000 patients have been tested in the last 3.5 years. Around 2,000 required an alternative, more effective medication.
We're finding about a quarter of the people that we test do have a genetic variant that means clopidogrel isn't the right drug, and so we make a change and get in touch with the patient and change their medication over. It means that we'll hopefully see less people having strokes in the future than we would otherwise see, less impact, say, on the health service, less impact on them having to use health services, social care services, and being able to get back to work and things like that they may not be the case if they have further strokes down the line.
The innovative test is now being used in Grampian and the Western Isles before it's rolled out across Scotland in the coming months.
We know that in 1/3 of patients, the drug that we usually use for treating strokes and preventing further strokes does not work. This test will ensure that we can identify those subgroup of patients and prescribe them the appropriate medication and then reduce their risk of stroke.
We've modelled out that we'll save around 900 strokes over the next 5 years and approximately just under £20 million of direct NHS savings. If you're one of that 900 who's on the clopidogrel medication and it's not optimal for you and you now move on to a different medication, you're now taking something that's likely to benefit and therefore reduce your risk of having strokes in the future.
More than 11,000 people suffered a stroke in Scotland last year, and the number is growing. But this simple blood test offers the best chance of a full recovery and lead to less people dying from a stroke. Lynn Rankin, STV News.
It's been more than a week now since one of Calmac's busiest ferry routes stopped taking cars. A problem with the car deck ventilation system on the Stornoway-Ullapool service has left many people, including those heading to medical appointments, stranded or forced onto long detours. Ruthie Munro has the latest.
After being discharged from hospital, Callum McLean was stranded in Ullapool because the ferry wasn't able to carry cars all last week. Now the MV Isle of Lewis is able to transport a small number of vehicles, but is operating on less than a quarter of our usual capacity.
We were left in limbo in Ullapool. I had just been discharged from hospital. I needed to see a nurse that day for some treatment on the wound, and therefore we were left in a situation up from 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock where we did not know what we would do. But at 3 o'clock they said they would now put us on the next day ferry from Uig to Tarbert at 2 o'clock the following day.
The Isle of Lewis is covering the route while the regular ferry Loch Seaforth is in dry dock. The fault in the Isle of Lewis ventilation system has caused a reduction in service that has had a huge impact on the island community.
A week now that we've had this inadequate ferry service to the island. That's more than just a news headline for islanders. That's delays to getting away to hospital appointments, travel to the mainland for life events, going on holiday, and that's not to mention the economic impact of this. The SNP have been asleep at the wheel on this. They've left it far too late to do something about the issue, and it's islanders that are suffering.
John Swinney was quizzed on the issue at First Minister's Questions yesterday.
As we go through the winter maintenance period, we're operating to a winter timetable where there are fewer sailings, but CalMac will be working and the Transport Secretary is deeply engaged in all these questions to make sure there is effective and sustainable services available to all island communities.
CalMac, who operate the ferry, say that they are fully focused on repairing the ventilation system and apologise for the disruption caused. Despite assurances about the future and the promise of new ferries somewhere on the horizon, the fear among island communities dependent on Lifeline ferry services is that they are facing another winter of discontent. Rudy Munro, STV News.
A union has warned the oil and gas industry is heading towards a cliff edge and urged the Chancellor to ease the windfall tax. The GMB union says a lack of confidence in the sector means jobs are already being lost. The UK government said the budget will balance the need for funding public finances while also encouraging businesses to invest. The union is confident reducing the levy will encourage investment.
Absolutely no doubt it will. Companies have already said it. The OE UK have come out and said that they've also written to the Chancellor calling on the same. This will bring investment. It will bring back stability to a sector which is veering towards a cliff edge, and we need to halt it.
Now, the Christmas we know and enjoy is a time for family, food and presents. But for children living in Ukraine, almost 4 years since Russia's invasion, those comforts have never seemed so far away. This year, a Tayside charity is sending a record number of festive boxes to the war-torn country alongside its usual supplies of aid. Volunteers hope to reach 2,000 children with what they call a hug from Scotland. Here's Fraser Nichol.
Writing in both Ukrainian and English, Helena is sending Christmas wishes home. Words trying to convey normality. She knows the reality there is anything but. Having lived under Russian occupation in her home city of Kherson, she fled to Scotland 2 years ago and has watched the life she'd built there be turned to rubble.
Just a few months ago, a Russian bomb destroyed our business. It's 25 years, our whole life.
Desperate to help, she now volunteers at this charity near Errol, packing up lorries of aid to send directly to Ukraine. The UN estimates more than 13,000 civilians have been killed since Russia's invasion, including more than 700 children.
A lot of people have got what's known as Ukraine fatigue. Well, I've helped them, but they don't realise 4 years on they're more desperate in need of stuff now than ever. You see the news, Kharkiv, Vinnytsia, all the villages are getting bombed every night. They are desperate.
So this is sort of an example of a box.
As well as delivering their usual humanitarian supplies, volunteers have been working since August on these Christmas boxes. From colouring books and cuddly toys, even copies of the Dandy, they hope to reach 2,000 Ukrainian children.
They're orphans, they've lost one or both parents, they're in hospitals, they've been displaced, and they've ended up with nothing. Some have known nothing but war, and some haven't known a Christmas. So this is just wonderful, and it makes us all proud.
Some of the volunteers have also known hardship, but in hardship comes humanity. Walid is a Badoon Kuwaiti, people branded by their own government as illegal residents. He's now seeking asylum in the UK and wants to help as much as he can.
It's very sad to see what happened now in Ukraine and people dying and so much suffering. So that's at least we could do something to make these people happy.
Helena longs to return to Ukraine one day, but for the moment she's made peace in Scotland. All of this, she hopes, will bring some relief to everyone back home, and if nothing else, tells them they've not been forgotten this Christmas. Fraser Nichol, STV News.
A time capsule buried for more than a century in a former Perth school destroyed by fire has been rescued from the ruins. Placed in the wall of Balhousie Primary School during construction in 1908, it's been securely held in place under the foundation stone. Its existence was unknown until local residents recently discovered reference to it in an old newspaper.
The time capsule and the contents of the time capsule just shines a light on what life was like then. I think people will probably find some similarities to how life is now today, but it's good that you can actually uncover these things so others can have a little look back at the past.
Now, with the latest from the Scotland camp in Greece and the rest of the Friday sport, here's Finlay.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Yes, a very good evening. Now, the Tartan Army have descended on Athens as Scotland bid to take a vital step towards World Cup qualification. The Scots, who face Greece tomorrow, are just 2 games away from reaching their first World Cup since 1998. Well, we sent Chris to Greece to soak up the atmosphere.
Well, the atmosphere in Athens has been absolutely fantastic today. In the November sunshine, the Tartan Army have been well and truly nourished. They'll be hoping it's a celebration that they're enjoying at full time here tomorrow, and the many people watching back home in Scotland. Can we do it? Fingers crossed we can.
No Scotland, no party!
The Tartan Army Advance Party are already here in Athens ahead of tomorrow night's vital World Cup qualifier against Greece. Steve Clark, let the shackles off or play Cork-Canny?
I think we have to get a draw, whatever happens, so whatever that takes, that's the right approach.
Are you confident?
I'm optimistic, not confident.
Being a Scotland supporter for all the years,
cautiously optimistic.
As long as we've got something to play for coming to Tuesday, then I'm happy, but it's going to be a tricky one, I think.
I'm slightly worried that the Greeks will be out for revenge, and it's up to step up. They don't normally step up when the pressure's on, so we'll see.
The last couple of games have not been great, but hopefully with Clapbage's tactics we could maybe manage a 0-0 and then take the game on to Hampden.
We can't sit in and defend and hope for the best. We need to go for it. The team concluded their warm weather training camp in Turkey this morning before flying out to join the fans in Athens. And Scotland head coach Steve Clark and his players are determined to give them cause to celebrate come full time on Saturday night.
There's no point of the what ifs. This might happen, and if we do this, ultimately there's a chance we can go into the last game and make a World Cup, but we need to do the work come this Saturday. And it is a tough game. Greece have shown performance-wise right through the campaign that they are a good team, they're an intelligent team. They've got good, intelligent footballers that can cause you problems.
We have to focus on each game, but I do hope we get obviously to Hampden against Denmark, and then we know exactly what we need to do. For what I know this team has and where we've come from and what we've built and the players that we have, and I say the team deserve it. I'd probably say some players deserve to get there as well. I think we can do it, and I'm confident of this team to do it.
A far cry from the winter temperatures back home in Scotland. Here the travelling thousands in kilts, shirts and shorts have basked in the warm November sunshine, ready to turn up the heat on the host Greece and take that vital step closer to the World Cup. In the most ancient of European cities, Scotland stand on the edge of their own history here in Athens this weekend. Tomorrow night in the port city of Piraeus, they will do battle against the Greeks for a guaranteed shootout against Denmark at Hampden on Tuesday night. All they need to do, yes, is avoid defeat. Chris Harvey, STV Sport in Athens.
Yeah, not jealous of Chris there at all. Now, Aberdeen's own Rachel Corsie is the last player to captain Scotland in a World Cup. That was in France 6 years ago. Well, now retired, Corsie sat down with Ronnie Charters and began by reflecting on that historic win over Albania that sealed the Scots' place in the 2019 Women's World Cup.
I think I remember that as sort of like the pinnacle, the real highlight, and definitely sort of the standout game is the game that we qualified, just when the referee blew the final whistle, and just that you can very quickly just take yourself right back there. That period of actually qualifying, that is such a euphoric feeling. It's incredible.
Do you remember the reaction both there and back home? What was that initial period like?
I think that's one of the sort of strongest memories of feeling the weight of, yeah, actually there is so much support behind us. You know, when we started senior football, the people watching were just your family. So those moments are standout as well, because they hit you quite hard, because you can really feel just, wow, this is such a significant moment in something that we absolutely love.
It just lifted the country a bit, didn't it? That you had something that even people who didn't like football could turn on and support. Did you get that feel?
Definitely. I love sport because that is how it can impact. There's so many avenues in which it impacts lives in a positive way, and you know, we know it helps physical health, we know it can help people with their mental health. It brings communities together, it brings people together, gets people out, it gives people something to feel positive about, and whenever we can do that, it's going to touch a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And you know, when you enjoy great moments in sport and you feel the endorphins that brings you, I think you want everyone to feel that. And I think Scotland being at a World Cup, a lot of people are going to feel that hype.
Well, on the domestic front now, and it's another big weekend in the Championship. Top of the table, St Johnstone are out to bag all 3 points when they host Queen's Park, while second bottom, Ross County, welcome Morton.
We've got Queen's Park this Saturday and Partick next after that. I think it's important to focus on the job at hand, do you know what I mean, and not look too far into the future. You know, when, you know, we do our job on Saturday, hopefully, then we can focus on Partick. But like you say, I think getting a win will be quite important because, you know, they're kind of breathing down our necks. So, you know, to get hopefully a win on Saturday and then, you know, performing well again the next Saturday, that could put us in a great position.
And to rugby, and Gregor Townsend has warned Scotland will face one of the form teams in the world when they take on Argentina on Sunday. Well, Townsend makes one change to his side for the autumn test against the Pumas. Jamie Borthwick reports from Murrayfield.
Yes, it's the third of the 4 autumn internationals, and after blowing away the USA and then losing an agonising 25-17 to the All Blacks last weekend, next up it's Argentina, the team that Scotland are looking to overtake in the world rankings and take a place in the first pot of seeds for next month's Rugby World Cup draw. Gregor Townsend makes one change to his starting 15. Rory Darge coming in the back row for Matt Fagerson. Duhan van der Merwe is recalled, but only for a place on the bench. And speaking to the media earlier, Townsend spoke of his immense respect for Argentina.
They are a top team. Like, they've beaten New Zealand this year. They played, I think, 10, 11 test matches since the summer and showed their quality throughout that period. And even in the recent games, they pushed South Africa close at Twickenham. They had a record win last week against Wales, so they're full of confidence, very cohesive. And they play a brand of rugby that's enjoyable to watch, that'll test our defence. And they certainly seem one of the form teams in world rugby right now.
So Scotland looking to get back to winning ways in front of another packed Murrayfield crowd here on Sunday, but the travelling Pumas will provide a stern test for the Scots.
Yes, a massive weekend of sporting action. Come on Scotland and have a nice weekend.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Well, it's turned to the weather now, and it's turned cold. And Sean, this is going to last for a few days anyway.
Norman, if you think it's cold just now, wait until next week. It's going to turn a lot colder. We're going to go into a proper northerly wind. We will see some wintry weather. Of course, this is nothing unusual for November, but it is a bit of a shock compared to the higher temperatures we had last week. Probably the deepest cold coming down during Wednesday and Thursday. Lots of sleet and snow showers coming into the Northern Isles. How far will they spread southwards? Well, let's have a look at the forecast.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
I'll have a wee sneak peek at the weather for us into next week. Turning a lot colder. Will it be wintry? Just need to hang on and find out. Now, for the time being, still a few showers around during this evening and tonight, driven in by that brisk old easterly wind, most noticeable around the Angus coast, down the Tay, across Fife as well. And that keeps our temperatures up. OK, yes, the wind makes it feel much colder, but the air temperature will be 5 or 6, maybe in Perthshire, where there's a wee bit of shelter in some of the glens. Temperatures could get down to about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, so chilly for most of us through tonight. Now, tomorrow, the good news is if you've got plans, it's looking largely dry and bright. We've still got a brisk old breeze, not quite as strong as it has been today, mind you, but still breezy, coming in from the North Sea. So Angus, the Fife coast, feeling chilly in the breeze, 8-9 degrees, which actually is not too far off average for the time of year. It should be about 9 or 10, so not too bad, but as I say, colder in that wind. Now on Sunday, hopefully dry and bright for us, but we'll see this little weather front coming in from the north. That could give us some drizzly outbreaks of rain Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. But the coldest air doesn't get to us until next week. Have a look at this. This is Dundee. You're 6 on Monday, 5 on Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, we're down to 4 degrees. That's your afternoon highs, but a northerly, a good direction. A lot of dry and bright weather. Let's head up to our ski centre, and you can see, look at that, -3, -4. And there will be some wintry showers in Glenshee. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, do you remember the story of the hero police dog who was injured in the line of duty? Zeus was stabbed multiple times during a police operation. Well, now he's been honoured with his own portrait. Students at North East College competed to celebrate the courageous canine. The winning artwork by Agatha Sood will go on display at the Nelson Street Police Station in Aberdeen. And that's where we have to leave it for this evening. I'll be here at 10:30. Have a good evening.